Hello!
Hi, everybody!
Hi, everybody! Welcome to a live crochet along. We are going to make these cute little sweetie, tiny little tasty treat trio. We've got a ghost, a little candy corn, and a little Frankenstein monster. And these guys are about just shy of 2.5 inches. They're 6 centimeters tall, so they're not very big. They're just bite-sized. And the idea behind these little sweeties is they make a cute little toy. They make a nice little token for a friend to cheer them up. But if you're a house that gives out treats other than candy at Halloween, then we thought you might make a few of these and just sort of have them sitting in your little treat box waiting for a little trick-or-treater that maybe is looking for something that's not candy, or maybe they have a peanut allergy, something like that. So it's a nice little option for your trick-or-treaters.
Hey.
We're going to get into Mr. Stitches'
How do I turn this off?
Mr. Stitches and the technical issues. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about the kind of stuff we're using tonight. So I've got a 5.5 millimeter hook, and we're using size 4 medium weight yarn. So here's my little sign: 5.5 millimeter hook, size 4 medium yarn. If you're using DK weight yarn, you might want to use a 5 millimeter. And I'm just showing you guys this. So in the event that anybody pops into this live crochet along a little later and they're asking questions like, what's the hook and what's the yarn? Then if anybody knows this, feel free to add it to the chat so that they can kind of catch up to where we're all at. You don't need very much yarn for any one of these little guys. I've got some scraps of, actually this is way more than I probably need. But I've got scraps of all these different colors. So we're going to start with our little ghost friend. So you only need white or whatever ghost color you want to use, and a little bit of black for his eyes. We're going to do the little candy corn next. That's a little bit of white, a little bit more orange, and a little bit more yellow. And Frankie, if we have time, we're going to get to Frankie. And if we don't have time, don't worry, we're going to do him Friday. You need a little bit of black, a little bit of bright green, some purple, and a little bit of gray for his 2 bolts that stick out of his head. And a little bit of stuffing. So cotton balls, some pillow stuffing, even extra bits of leftover yarn, fabric scraps. Stuffing is really minimal for this project because they're really, really tiny little guys. Pair of scissors, a yarn needle. You might want a stitch marker if you have trouble kind of keeping track of your rows and your stitches when you're working in the round, because all of these little guys are made going in the round. So a stitch marker or a safety pin, you might find that useful too. Otherwise, we're going to jump right into our little ghost friend here. So you're going to start with your white. I'm going to get all of my yarns out of the way.
So for the record, I am having the same issue with the live chat.
It is again.
Yes, it's doing the exact same thing again. It definitely has something to do with the live stream.
What a bummer.
So I will try to participate in the chat via my phone if I can.
If you can. Okay, no problem. All right, we're going to start with the ghost. We're going to start, all 3 of them start the same way, up at the top of the pointy bit of the little triangle. So we're going to take our hook and our yarn. We're going to start with a cinch circle. And into our cinch circle, we're going to work 6 single crochet. Once you've got 6 single crochet worked into your circle, you're going to cinch your circle shut nice and tight. And we're going to start with an increase row. So it's not a typical increase row. So we're not doubling it up. We're doing a third of an increase. So instead of a double, it's just a third. But we are going to work in the round. So we're going to work directly into that first stitch that we started with. And we're not joining our rows with a slip stitch. We're going to work 2 single crochet into that first stitch. I'm working over top of my short tail. You can also just leave it to the end. Actually, I might just leave it out the back here so it's not as difficult to see what I'm doing. 2 single crochet into the first stitch and a single crochet to follow that into the next stitch. So that's the little repeater pattern. We're going to work 2 single crochet into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into the stitch after that. Repeat that twice more. So 2, 1, 2, 1. And we're going to move from a stitch count of 6 up to a stitch count of 9. All right. So once you've completed row 2, we're still working in the round here. We're going to work just a straight row of single crochet. So you're just going to count basically to 9. And that will be all of row 3. So just a single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, 1 second, everybody. All right, so we've got 9 stitches here, 3. So I'm just changing up the lighting a little bit here so I can sort of see what I'm doing a little bit better. I don't have my glasses on. Okay, so what we want to do, this is the end of, this would be the regular end of the white section if we were working on the candy corn. So I just kind of want everybody to pause for a moment and take a look at that. And that's what the first 3 rows look like. But because we're working on the ghost, we're not breaking our yarn. We're not having to even up our rows or anything yet. We're just going to keep going. So we've worked, our first row was 6 stitches. We increased to 9. We worked a full row of single crochet. So you count to 9. You don't have to worry about evening up your stitches just yet, as long as you've worked 9 stitches in total. And now we're going to do another increase row. So into the next stitch, this is the beginning of row 4. We're going to work 2 single crochet into the first stitch of row 4 and a single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So 2, 1, 1. Then you're going to repeat that twice more, and we move from 9 stitches up to 12. I hope everybody can see what I'm doing all right. All right, the end of row 4, we should all be up to 12 stitches. And your little sort of nose cone, if you flatten it, you should see a bit of a triangle shape starting. Row 5 is just straight single crochet. So the easy way to do that, unless you're using a stitch marker, of course, you can use your stitch marker and move it to the beginning of every row as you go. But if you're not, just single crochet 12 times, and that will be row 5.
We got a super chat.
Oh my goodness.
We have a super chat from Win.
Thank you, Win.
Win says, "You guys are so special."
Aww.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Win.
Can you guys let us know how the image and sound is coming through, please?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully everything's nice and bright and you can sort of see what I'm doing here. So we are at the end of row 5. That was just a row of straight single crochet. We are entering row 6 now. We're going to do a row of increase. So we're going to move from 12 stitches up to 15. And the little repeater pattern for that is 2 single crochet into the first stitch of row 6 and a single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. You're going to repeat that twice more, and you should be up to 15 stitches all the way around. All right, we're up to 15 stitches. Row 7 is just a straight row of single crochet, so you can just count up to 15 in your head or move your stitch marker, whatever method works for you. All right, at the end of row 7, we should all still have 15 stitches. If you flatten your little nose cone, you should have a definite triangular shape. We've got 2 rows left, so one more row of increase. We're going to move from 15 stitches to 18. So the first part of the repeater is pretty familiar. You're going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And you're going to repeat that 3 times in total, and you'll move from 15 up to 18 stitches. It's a very blustery night out there. I don't know what it's like where everybody is. I know some people got snow. We don't have snow yet, but it's very cold and it's raining out there. And I'm just listening to the rain pattering on the roof actually as we crochet. And we're calling for rain and or snow tomorrow night. So Halloween might be a bit sloppy and cold. And then it sounds like a lot of people are thinking about delaying Halloween. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Halloween delayed, at least not around here. So that might be interesting. I don't know if they're going to do that here, but I know a lot of other places were talking about it. That's kind of a neat idea, especially moving it, I think, to Friday night might be nice too, just because then everybody doesn't have a crazy candy hangover on Friday morning. At the end of row 8, we should be up to 18 stitches. We've got one more row all the way around to do. So just single crochet into each stitch, count up to 18, or just move your stitch marker, whatever works for you. All right, and before we finish with all the single crocheting, we want to even up our bottom row. So if you take a look at the top of your little ghostie, there should be a spot where you see row 1 turn into row 2, and you want to make sure that you are pretty much in alignment with that. So if that means crocheting into the next 4, 5, or 6 stitches just to get that to look even, then you go ahead and do that. It's not going to change your stitch count. It's just going to even up the bottom of your little ghost, which is great because we want it to all sort of be the same size all the way around. So you can sort of see when you've got the whole thing put together, he's the same like height on one side as he is on the other. And once you figure that it looks even enough, you should have a little cone, looks like a little pylon. You're just going to pause, pull up on that loop so that you've got a little bit of slack and all of the stuffing we're about to do won't interfere or pull out any of your stitches. So if you give it a nice little flatten, you should have something that looks like that. It's a nice, neat, and tidy little triangle. And we're going to add our little face before we stuff it. So just a couple of simple little eyes. You want to take a length of black yarn, and you don't need very much. So just cut a little bit of black yarn here. We're going to thread it up in our yarn needle. And you can pick one side or the other to be your front or your back. I think I'm just going to work here. And we want to put our eyes pretty much through the third or fourth row from the top. So we're going to take our needle. We're going to go in through the bottom. We're going to bring our needle out through a little space between stitches, and you're going to hold back a little bit of that black tail so that you kind of have your thumb on it. It doesn't want to unravel on you. And you're just going to skip backwards over top of that one little stitch into the space just beneath it. And you're going to bring your yarn out about a stitch away from the first eye. And you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to sort of hop over the stitch down one row and then bring your needle back out through the top of the first eye and repeat. So you're just going to make your eyes a couple stitches thick. So you're kind of crisscrossing on the inside of your little ghost. And then once you're finished with the second one, both of your black ends can kind of come out the bottom. And we're going to do a neat little trick. So you can flatten your ghost. You're going to take your needle and you're just going to slip it underneath those two stitches. So just like that, take your needle, slip it underneath those two stitches, and leave it there while you tie a knot between your two black ties. This way you won't accidentally pull your little eyes out of alignment. So you can sort of make that knot nice and tight. Tie it at least twice. There we go. Then you can either trim your ends or tuck them in. They're dark black yarn, so I think I'm going to trim my ends. Careful, you don't want to cut the inside of your little ghosty. So I've got a nice, neat, and tidy little knot in there. And then you can pull your needle out. And your two little eyes won't have been pulled out of alignment and your face won't have changed. So everybody's should have a little white cone with a couple of eyes on it. Now all we have to do is stuff it. So you can grab some of your stuffing. And try to get your finger right up into the top of your cone. And you don't need a whole lot of stuffing for these little guys. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. You want to stuff it so that when it sort of sits comfortably, it kind of just poofs out a little bit, and then you can kind of tuck it down with your finger, and that'll make it nice and kind of on the chubby side. Then we're going to put our hooks back in our loops. And we're going to hold that bottom edge together because we're going to seam it up by slip stitching. So we're going to take our needle, or I should say our hook, and go through the first set of stitches. So I hope you can see that. That's the first set of stitches. And we're just going to slip stitch. Easy does it. Then you're going to do the next set. So after you get the first one done, the next few sets are pretty easy because if you hold it together, those stitches from the last row should line up pretty evenly.
We have a question from Diane.
Sure.
Please ask Jayda if there is another to start that then the magic circle.
You really want a tight top because you don't want any of your stuffing to leak out. So I really recommend you go with the magic circle, the cinch circle, the adjustable ring, whatever you want to call it. If this gives you any kind of trouble, we do have a little mini tutorial on the adjustable ring or the cinch circle that we did a while ago. And we go through it really slowly and we show you how to do it on a flat surface. So it might not help you right this second, but we'll make sure that link is in the description box down below after it becomes a regular video. Or if you want to open up another browser window in YouTube, you can search Jayda InStitches cinch or magic circle, and it should pop right up. And it's just a super mini tutorial. I think it's only maybe a couple of minutes long, and you can run that if you want. And that should hopefully help you figure out how to make that cinch circle a little easier than just doing it in the air like I do it. So after I'm just going to sip my juice here, guys. Yum, yum, yum. So once you've slip stitched all the way across, you may get to the end and there could be your last set. There could be an extra stitch left. If there's a little tiny corner or a little tiny post, you can just slip stitch through there if you like, just to sort of even off those two corners. Then you're just going to take your scissors, snip your yarn, fasten off, and we're going to weave that tail in nice and neat and tidy. So we're just going to take our needle and weave it in underneath some of the stitches, just a handful of them, because then you can just take the tail and pull it right into the body of the little amigurumi here. So just a few. And then you can take your needle, sort of pass it into the body of your little ghost and out through a little space between stitches. Oops. And then you can just wiggle that tail in. So that tucks in the rest of your tail, or you can trim it. It's up to you. If you had a really long tail left over, then you could just trim it if you wanted to. But I like to just sort of pull it into the body of the little stuffed toy because it acts like stuffing. And I know it's not going to come undone. Grabbing it sometimes is a bit difficult, but I'll find it here. There we go. There. And that is the little ghosty. You can sort of squeeze him into a pleasing little triangular shape. And he's all ready to go. So there is our little ghost.
Adorable.
Super cute. We're going to move to our little candy corn now. So we're starting with white again. So we're going to take our white, and I will demonstrate the cinch circle a little slower here. So Diane and anybody else who needs to see it can sort of see it in real time. I like to start with it, the end of it draped on my left hand. I pinch it with my thumb and forefinger and wrap the yarn around my middle and index fingers. And then I hold it. So right where it crosses, I hold it. So now I've got control of my loop. Hook goes through the loop, grabs the yarn and pulls it up. So you've got a little loop that you've brought up through your circle. And then you just sort of hold it. You can hold the whole thing right at the base of the loop if you have to. You just chain once. And that's it. That's the cinch circle made. And then you just want to make sure you work all of your subsequent stitches over top of that short tail. And we're starting the same way that we did for the ghost. We're going to work 6 single crochet into our cinch circle over top of that short tail. All right, that's 6 stitches. Grab the short tail, cinch it up nice and tight. Ooh, I think I twisted mine. Just squeeze that out there. There we go. All right, 6 stitches. We're going to start by working directly into the first stitch like we did for the last little ghost. We are not joining each row. We are just working in the round. So we are starting with an increase row. So we're going to get our hook into that first stitch. It's always a little tight. And we're going to work 2 single crochet into that first stitch. One single crochet into the next stitch. So the little pattern is 2, 1, and we're going to repeat that twice more. 2, 1, 2, 1. So we're going to go from 6 stitches up to 9. And if your little hole kind of opens up on you, you can just take your tail and pull it tight again. And remember, you can work over top of your tail or just leave it to the back because it does become stuffing. So that's the end of row 2. We should be up to 9 stitches. For row 3, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. And the easy way to do that is just to count to 9. All right, that's the end of row 3. Now, because this is the end of the white section, we want to even up the stitches so that we have an even bottom. So you're going to carefully look at the top of your first row, see where it turns into the second row. You're just going to add 1 or 2 single crochets to make sure that those rows are all kind of even. So you've got 3 even rows all the way around. Then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and fasten off. So you don't need very much tail. Just snip your yarn. That's it for the white yarn. And pull taut. And both of these tails can be tucked up into the nose cone of our little candy corn.
Jody would like to know if this would be good for a beginner, someone who is just learning.
If that person has already kind of got comfortable with the single crochet and maybe making a cinch circle, but in particular, the single crochet and is able to work in the round. So working in the round is not difficult. It just can require marking your stitches if you get distracted easily, and counting in your head isn't always an option. I know if you've got people calling your name, counting in your head can necessarily be the best option. So you might want to use a stitch marker and just move it for the beginning stitch of every row, and that can help. But otherwise, yes, I would say this is a pretty beginner-friendly pattern.
There's a very, very polarizing discussion about the people that love candy corn and the people that despise candy corn.
I have to say, I've never actually eaten a candy corn. I just think they are so pretty and cheerful. I love that combination of colors. I think they're just so darn cute that I always kind of work a little candy corn something into every little Halloween that I make something for. So that's why I like doing the candy corn. I love the shape too. I like that little triangle, but I've never actually eaten any. I assume they're just pretty much pure corn syrup. That would
probably yes.
and color.
Yes. Corn syrup with a hint of maybe vanilla or something.
Oh yeah.
There's a little hint of some flavor, but it's mainly corn syrup and sugar.
Wow.
I think
most of these things are just pure sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to add our orange section now. We're going to make a slip knot. We're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch, and we're going to join it right where we fastened off. So I'm just going to highlight that.
The hint of flavoring is wax.
Yeah,
that's right. I think you're right. It's that nice, that kind of wax flavor. You're
nice
just
wax flavor. Gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
Wax candy flavor.
That nice aftertaste of wax.
Ew.
Ew.
Right where we fastened off, if you pull up on that little fasten off, you should see that there's a bit of a space there, and I'm just sort of highlighting it with my hook so you can sort of see it. You're going to put your hook right into that space, right where you fastened off, and we're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch. So we've joined our yarn with a slip stitch. Now we're not going to single crochet in that same stitch. Instead, we're going to move to the next stitch. This is the beginning of row 4, so we're going to be working an increase row. So into the very next stitch, next to where we've joined our yarn, we're going to work 2 single crochet. And this is the same little increasing pattern for all 3 of these little tasty treats. So we are going to work 2 single crochet followed by a single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So 2, 1, 1. And then you're going to repeat it twice more, 3 times in total. And we're moving from 9 stitches up to 12.
Supposedly, the candy corn that is made with real honey is actually pretty good.
Ooh.
But I think the ones that we kind of end up with from the the local grocery store, I think they're just sugar and plastic.
They're just sugar and wax.
Sugar, wax, and plastic.
Sugar, wax, and plastic. Ew. All right, when you get all the way back around to the beginning, the last stitch you're going to work is in the what would be called the false stitch. So this is the stitch that was created by slip stitching to join. So it might be a little tight, so I don't want you to miss it. It's not the place where you joined your yarn, it's the stitch just before it. So you join your yarn, and then you work into the next stitch, and this is how we're going to kind of avoid having a color jog all the way around. At the end of row 4, you should have 12 stitches, and now you can just tuck that little tail up into the nose cone, Get it out of the way. Sort of stuffing our little candy corn as we go. Now, row 5 is just straight old single crochet. So you're going to make sure you grab that first stitch. It might be a little tight, and you're just going to single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So you can count 12, or you can move your stitch marker if you're using that method. It's also easier to see where you are when you're changing colors, because by the time you get back around to the beginning again, you can sort of see where the last row began.
I have a question for everyone out there who's listening and watching. I'd like to know how many of you have eaten all the Halloween candy that you bought last week for Halloween. Because I'm down. I've gone through a whole half a box.
It's true. Half a box and a lot of belly aching.
And a lot of belly aching and complaining.
Oh.
We did. Not yet. Us, LOL. Yep. I got my hand up. My hand is up. Yeah. I'm guilty.
And they're easy little snack size pieces, so they're kind of hard to resist.
Is it just me, or are they getting smaller and smaller?
They are getting smaller, and we're not just getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, because I'm like every time, like now I have to like use the tips of my fingers to open. I'm like, I don't remember them being this tiny.
Yeah, they're getting way smaller. They used to be at least a couple of bites, but now I feel like they're just one bite.
Or a half a bite.
Or half a bite, depending on how big your bite is. I guess that's a good thing. Okay, we have worked the end of row 5. So the end of row 5, you should still have 12 stitches. Row 6 is an increase row. Here's a little increase pattern. We're going to work 2 single crochet into the first stitch. And then a single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1. You're going to do that 3 times in total, and you should move from 12 up to 15 stitches.
Antoinette said it all went the same night. So another trip to the grocery store. Then you got one more day.
One more day, or possibly
unless
2.
It's delayed.
Unless it's getting delayed.
A few people in the chat said they were having their Halloween tonight.
Wow.
So that's happening, and we've heard in the news that some areas are thinking of delaying it till Friday. Yeah. Because tomorrow the weather's supposed to be terrible, like snow and rain.
Yeah, cold, windy. Woo! To me, that's very Halloween-y, but I don't know. It's not very nice for walking around.
Depends on your costume.
It does. Yeah. If you're dressed up like a bear, you're
gonna have a good time.
All right, at the end of, let's see, row 6, we should be up to 15 stitches. We want to even up this row. So we're just going to single crochet into the next 1 or 2 stitches. Doesn't matter. You just want to even it up so you've got 3 even rows of orange. And then slip stitch to join to finish off your orange section. You don't need very much tail, so you can just snip your yarn. That's it for the orange. Fasten off.
Laura says where she grew up, every Halloween was tramping through snow.
Yeah, that's where I remember some snowy Halloweens.
I guess it all depends on how determined you are to get that candy.
Yes, I think so.
Right? If you're determined, it doesn't matter what the weather is. You're going to get that candy.
All right, I'm just going to demonstrate this a second time. So we're going to join our yarn the same way we did for the orange. So if you pull up on that little string, you should see a little hole there. I'm just going to sort of tuck my needle in it. There's a little hole there. That's where you're going to join your yellow yarn. So I'm going to make a slip knot with my yellow. And into that little hole, right where we fastened off, right beneath the fasten off knot is where we're going to join with a slip stitch. I'm going to tuck both of those strings inside my little candy corn. And then we're not single crocheting in the same stitches joining. We're going to move to the next one. And row 7 is not an increase row, as row 6 was. So in row 7, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And you should still have 15 stitches at the end of row 7. And row 7 is easy to sort of pinpoint where it starts and finishes because it's a whole new color. Really love these 3 colors together. So I can't really attest to how these things taste, but I sure do like how they look. They're so cute. Remember, the last stitch of this row is going to be into that, what is sort of a false stitch. It's a tight stitch. It's the one that was created for this by slip stitching to finish off your row. So don't skip it. You want to make sure that you have exactly 15 stitches all the way around when you're finished row 7. So that sets us up for row 8. Row 8 is a increase row. So you're going to reach over, find that first stitch. It's going to be a little on the tight side, but you don't want to miss it. Oof. And then you're going to work 2 single crochet into that stitch to start row 8. And a single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And then you're going to repeat that twice more. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And you're going to repeat that 3 times in total, and that should bring us up to 18 stitches all the way around.
Do we have White Castle here? I don't think so.
I don't think we do. Those are the ones that make the little tiny
They make the
right?
little slider burgers, like you order a tray of burgers or something. As far as I know, we don't. But I'm not 100% sure, because some provinces and some cities have the odd American chain that we don't have chains of all across Canada, but like sometimes a place like Montreal or Toronto or Vancouver will have the odd one. So it's possible, but not that we know of.
All right, once you finish the end of row 8, you should be up to 18 stitches. Row 9 is just straight single crochet, so you can just single crochet in each stitch all the way around.
Now we're going to be thinking about cheeseburgers for the next 2 hours.
You may be. I'm looking at candy, so that's all.
That's right. Yeah, you're staring at that candy corn.
Speaking of candy, I snuck you in a little bowl of your favorite
What?
treats.
Is this from last week? You little... What should I... Are you going to have some?
I might.
I don't know.
You can't do a Halloween
I've been getting tummy aches all
tutorial
week
without some candy.
Let's see. What is the healthiest version of this candy?
Not eating it. That would be
the bowl.
version.
I'll just crack my teeth on the bowl.
Just lick the bowl a few times. Yeah.
Well, I'll start with the M&Ms and then work my way to something else.
Okay.
I'll try and pace myself this time.
When you get all the way around to the end of row 9, you want to even up your stitches so that you have 3 even rows of yellow. So just single crochet into the next 1 or 2 stitches. That should bring you into alignment with where you join your yarn. And then you can slip stitch. Actually, no, we're not going to slip stitch. Forget that. We're not slip stitching. We're just going to leave it. We are going to pull up on that loop, however. And now we're going to stuff our little candy corn, our little traffic cone. It reminds me of a traffic cone. So you need a little bit of stuffing.
Quinnell says, now I want candy too.
Sorry, Quinnell.
Can we squeeze some through the camera?
Yeah, can we turn it into like sort of digital candy?
Try and send it to everyone. I tried, Quinnell. Tried to send you some.
All right, same thing as we did with the ghost. You want to have it just so that it poofs out a little bit so that you can sort of tuck it down with your finger, and that will create a nice sort of fat stuffed little candy corn. We're going to put our hook back in, tighten up our loop.
And when else says thank you?
We're going to do the same thing as we did with the ghost. We're just going to flatten those 2 edges together, and we're going to slip stitch through each set of stitches to seam it up. So the first one might be a little tricky. You just want to make sure you get that first one, and then the rest of the sort of the sets of stitches should be fairly straightforward. Just slip stitch through each set all the way across. There should be about 9 of them. 9 sets. There we go. And then you can fasten off. You don't need very much yarn.
So who's crocheting along with Jayda here as she goes?
And then we weave in our tails.
Oh, I love the candy and chocolate emojis.
Mm.
Mm.
There we go.
Brenda is crocheting along with you.
Yay. These are so fun and small. I know sometimes you might want to come back and do it again later. So it's like, it's fun if you're just hanging out and kind of like hanging out, watching what we're doing, working on your own thing. That's cool too. But...
Amanda tried, but it didn't go well. For those of you that still want to try, just know that this will become a standard video.
Yeah.
You can always rewatch it as many times as you need to and pause it and rewind.
Yeah.
And so on.
And so on. All right.
Miranda wants to know if I'm going to share with you. The answer to that is a resounding
maybe. There we go. So you just squeeze your little candy corn into a pleasing little candy corn shape. And that's our little candy corn done. So there's our little ghost, our little candy corn. How are we doing for time, Mr. InStitches?
We are at 42 minutes.
All right. I think we can squeeze in.
You want to squeeze in Frankie?
Yeah, we can squeeze in Frankie. So I went ahead and I created a couple things. So I started his little cone. Because it's black, it's a little difficult to see. So what you want to do is basically repeat for the white part of the candy corn. So you start with cinch circle. You add 6 single crochet into the circle and cinch it up nice and tight. And like I said, if you have trouble kind of following along, you can wind this back once it's a video and sort of watch me do it in white. I don't want to do it in black because it'll be too difficult to see. But you start with 6 single crochet, you cinch it up nice and tight. You move to row 2, which is where you increase 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. And then row 3 is just straight single crochet. You have 9 stitches. Single crochet to sort of even up all of your rows so that you have 3 even rows of black, slip stitch into the next stitch and fasten off.
Heather says hello and she wishes us a happy Halloween.
Hello, Heather. Thank you.
Happy Halloween to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's a spooktacular event. I love that. Spooktacular. I think it's so cute.
Spooktacular. Yeah, that's good.
So I'm just going, so like I said, it's the same little nose cone shape that you do for the candy corn. You just do it in black. And because it's very difficult to see, I'm just going to talk my way through it. I did it sort of ahead of schedule so that you could sort of see what I was talking about and then catch up with me or do it along later. And then we're going to move through the same sort of increase, same increasing pattern as the rest of it. So you want to join your green yarn in the same place that you fastened off. And once I get through the green section, it'll be a lot easier to see what I'm doing. But it's the same thing that we did when we joined our orange. So you join with a slip stitch in the same space that you fastened off underneath that fastened off knot. You don't single crochet in the same stitch. Instead, you move to the next stitch. And this row 4 is an increased row. So we're going to start with 2 single crochet in the first stitch. We're going to single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And that's the little repeater for row 4. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. You do it 3 times, and we move from 9 stitches up to 12.
We have a super chat from Elle.
Elle! Hi, Elle! Happy Halloween! Chibies have taken over the stream.
Oh my goodness. Hey guys. Stay out of our stream. You little rascals.
Thank you, Elle.
So, super chat from Elle. Elle says, I'm putting silver gray streak so Frank has his bride.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Great idea. Yes, I think what is she typically? Black hair with the crazy zigzag streak. And
she has the zigzag.
A white dress. So where we changed to purple, she could be white. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
that's a great idea.
Super, super. The last stitch of row 4 is worked into that little false stitch or that little tight stitch that's right next to the fasten off knot. So make sure you have 12 stitches in total at the end of row 4. And then row 5 is just straight single crochet. Make sure you get that first stitch. You're going to single crochet in each stitch round, and you should still have 12 stitches at the end of row 4. Bride of Frankenstein. I like that. Frankie should have his bride. I think that's cute.
I love that idea. I want to see that, Elle, when you're done. Share a picture on Instagram.
Yeah, if you can. I don't know. Elle, are you on Instagram?
I don't mean, if you're not Instagram or Etsy or Pinterest.
Or Pinterest, yeah. Or Twitter.
Twitter. We're not very good at keeping up with Twitter, though.
We kind of, we have so many things that
we kind of run out of time in a week. But yes, Twitter is also there.
Okay, at the end of row 5, we should still have 12 stitches. Row 6 is an increased row. Row 6 is 2 single crochet into the first stitch.
Great.
And then a single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So we're going to move from 12 stitches up to 15. So 2, 1, 1, 1. Repeat that 3 times in total, and we should have 15 stitches at the end of row 5. Wait, row 5? Row 6. Row 6. Row 6. All right, the end of row 6, we should be up to 15 stitches. Now, unlike the candy corn, we're going to do one more row of green because we want to have a nice big wide face. So for row 7, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So you should still have 15 stitches at the end of row 7, and we're just single crocheting.
Do you think our candy will make it till tomorrow night?
I don't know. At the rate that we send to snack on it. Well, it might actually, and if the weather's as bad as
well,
it says
you're
it's
just
gonna
shoving
be,
this candy right under my nose. You're trying to keep me distracted
It's true.
so I don't play with your yarn like a cat. Quack, 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 quack.
Quack, quack, quack. There's only room enough on this camera for 2 hands. All right, at the end of row 7, we want to even up our stitches. So you're just going to single crochet into the next 1 or 2 stitches until you're in alignment with where you joined your yarn. And you should sort of be able to see that pretty clearly if you take a good, flatten it down and sort of see where your yarn was joined. Then you're just going to slip stitch to fasten off. And that is the end of the green section. You don't need very much yarn. So you can just trim your yarn. That's it for the green. Just shove that to the side there. And you can also tuck that up into the inside of your cone. So we should have 3 rows of black and 4 rows of green for our little Frankie triangle so far. The last section is the purple. So you can grab your purple yarn, excuse me. And same thing, we're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to join it. So if I pull up here on that little string, you can sort of see that space. I'll just put my little my hook in it. It's right underneath where you fastened off. So you slip your hook in there, join your yarn with a slip stitch. Tuck all those tails into the body of it. We're not single crocheting in the same place. We're moving right to the next stitch. And we are on row 8. Row 8 is an increased row. So we're going to work 2 single crochet into that first stitch.
Hey, we have a new member.
Hey, welcome to the family.
Get my little celebratory tune going. New member Joyce. Welcome, Joyce. New member Joyce. Welcome.
more chibi bouncing. Thank you, Joyce. Welcome to the family.
The chibis just keep interrupting our live stream.
So row 8 begins with 2 single crochet. We're going to single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then we're going to repeat that twice more, and we should be up to 18 stitches at the end of row 8.
So are we going to electrocute Frankie when he's done to get him to come alive?
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be cute? What would he do? He doesn't have any legs to walk
He'll
off
probably go right after my candy.
He probably will.
That's my guess. That he'll just kind of mosey his way over to my candy and start tugging at the like the way Chippy pulls at the nuts.
Yes, he pulls a nut out
and tries to like
stuffs it into his cheek.
Steal it from you.
The last stitch of row 8, so your 18th stitch, will be in that little tight false stitch there, so don't miss it. You want to make sure you have 18 stitches. And then for row 9, you're just single crocheting in each stitch around, so make sure you get that first stitch. It might be a little tight. And single crochet, you can count 18 or just all the way around. And your little join row should be fairly obvious.
Princess Francis says, "Protect the candy."
Hi, Francis.
I'm telling you, as soon as he's done, he's gonna wanna come alive.
He's gonna steal all. He might. Well, I don't know. He might be attracted to the candy corn since he's made of yarn. He might think that the yarny candy corn is sort of a good bet.
Oh, you think he'll go after the candy corn?
He might. Yeah, I don't know.
We have a super chat.
A super chat. more bouncing little chibies.
This super chat is from Karen.
Hi, Karen. Thank you.
Karen says, "Thank you for all your great tutorials. Aww. Happy Halloween."
Thank you so much. All right, that is row 9 completed. You can just sort of continue to single crochet until your last stitch is right in alignment with where you joined. We're going to pull up on that loops because we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to add a little face to him. We're going to add his little, he's got little bolts sticking out of either side of his head, and he's got a couple of eyes. So you want to make a couple of bolts first. I've got one here. I made it ahead of time. It doesn't take very long, but you do want to. I'm using gray yarn for this. So you take your gray yarn and you make a little slip knot. You chain 3. And then you join with a slip stitch to the first chain that you made. So you all the way back into that first chain. And that's it. That's the bolt. You can snip your tail, fasten off. You want to make 2 of these. And you're going to attach them to either side of his head. So right where his hairline and his skin line meet. And you're going to do that by threading it on either side of a stitch. So you want to flatten your little Frankie. Decide which front and which side you want for the front or the back. I'm going to use this side as the front. I'm going to stick my needle in, but right on the edge between his hairline and his skin. I'm going to grab one little short tail and pull it to the inside. And then I'm going to hop over top of that stitch and pull the other tail in. So what you're doing is you're anchoring it over top of a stitch. The tails are going to not run through the same hole. They're running through 2 different holes. This way, when you knot it together, it won't be pulled into your little Frankie head. So once you've done that, you grab those 2 tails, knot them up nice and tight.
Someone mentioned that the bolts are supposed to be in the neck.
In the neck?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe I should move it down. I can do that.
Let us know, guys. Are the bolts in the neck or in the eyeballs?
I think you're right. I think they're not in the eyeballs.
In the back of the head.
I think you're right. Bolts? I think it is down near the neck.
I can't.
Is that how his head is bolted on? I haven't watched that movie in so long.
We'll see.
Let's you know what? I'm going to move it down.
Here comes the crochet community.
Crochet community.
Neck. I think we should put them in the forehead.
All right.
Both of them in the forehead.
Both of them in the forehead. Okay.
Okay, so everyone confirmed it's
obviously I need to watch that movie again. Okay, So we're going to move it down so that it's between the skin line and the
so that would
the
be
line
roughly
of his
the neck, right?
Yeah. So I think.
Yeah, about there. They kind of look like little arms.
I'm going to move it again.
Maybe they should be stubbier.
Stubbier? No, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be fine. You want the bolt to sort of be
mass confirmation.
Mass confirmation. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing that out. I kind of like his little gray ears, but I think you're right. The bolts should be down here. So I'll do one way and one the other way.
we'll watch an old scary movie tonight.
It's not Halloween without one of those. One
Yeah.
of those beautiful black and white
Yeah,
ones.
the black and white ones.
Those are fantastic.
Classic Frankenstein from like what?
Or Nosferatu
19...
from the 1920s. That one still gives me the
Oh
creeps.
yeah, we watched that one last year.
I love that one. That one is amazing. And then you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So
Julie says in the forehead and make him a Frankencorn.
A Frankencorn.
That's funny. So Mary's out taking the kids trick or treating tonight.
Oh my goodness.
She's watching.
I hope she has better weather
She's
than
watching
we do.
us on her phone, I guess. Hi.
Technology. That is so cool.
How's the candy collecting going?
I hope it's not.
Mine's going okay.
Yeah, you're kind of collecting good. All right, so there he is with his little bolts at his neck level, which I think is like, so there he is up top and there he is down low. And
they're both cute.
They're both darn cute. I love it. And we want to give him a couple of eyes. So same thing like we did for our little ghost friend. We're going to cut a length of black yarn. And can I just take a moment and thank everybody for joining us this evening? I am having so much fun making these with all of you guys. And this is just, I love these live tutorials. It's so fun to think that you're all kind of just sitting there with us. We're all crocheting a little something together. I just love it. All right, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass it out through a space somewhere up, just maybe just the stitch below his hairline. And I'm going to hold on to the end of the tail. I love these big-eyed needles, but the yarn falls out just as easily as it goes in. And I'm going to go down sort of on a little bit of an angle over top of the stitch and then bring the needle out.
Oh, yeah.
At the other side where I want his other eye.
Lala Gama says the one with the bolts up high looks like Shrek.
Oh my gosh, he does.
I agree.
Because of his ears.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Shrek.
If you change the color of his outfit, what's Shrek's outfit? Like a brown color?
Isn't he like in a...
he's not in purple. He's in
I don't know.
Green? I can't remember now. Or does he walk around nude? I can't remember.
No, he does not walk around nude. It is a kid's show.
A loincloth? That's right. It's a cartoon for children.
So you want to go over top of the eyes twice, and then we're going to do that little trick where you take a needle and you just pass it underneath those stitches.
Green. Well, Shrek is green, but what's his what's the outfit he's wearing? I can't recall.
And then you can knot the two ends together on the inside.
Green, brown.
Nice and tight. Green and brown. Yeah, that sounds right. There we go. It's another one we could rewatch. Haven't watched that one in a while.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them out now?
Yeah, and there's special ones too.
Yeah, we watched a couple of the special ones.
Yeah, those ones are fun. All right, so there's his little bolts, his little eyes, and now we can stuff them up. So you can take your stuffing and make sure you're getting it up into the top part. So all the way up into the top of the little cone.
Danya, if you're looking for that wool needle, we have a link to it on our website, which sends you to, and I'm pretty sure you can get it there.
Needles.
Yeah, wool needles.
Oh my gosh, I love this little guy. He's so darn cute. All right, same thing. Once he's all stuffed up, you can put your hook back in your loop, and we're going to seam up the bottom of our little Frankie here.
We have a super chat.
Super chat. Aww.
Little chibi invasion.
Those are standing by to play the ukulele for us.
They're giving me a break from the ukulele tonight.
Aww.
We got Lula working for us. We'll throw her a couple of chocolates later.
Throw her half a chocolate bar. Yeah.
So super chat from Bethany.
Thank you, Bethany.
Bethany says, "Hi guys, missed you. We have a new kitten. She's 6 months old now. LOL.
Oh my
and
gosh.
she loves to play with my yarn.
I bet
she does.
Oh my gosh.
While I crochet. Love you guys.
Aw, thank you,
Thanks,
Bethany. Aw, a new kitten. Oh my gosh, a new kitten.
Nothing like a new kitten.
They are hilarious.
Except a new puppy.
Well, yeah, you know what? Puppies don't usually end up climbing the curtains and or your pant leg, or do they? I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean, they both have their awesome
I love
little
that.
kittens and little puppies.
Puppies and kittens are just so
Yeah.
cute.
Kittens make you laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're
zany.
They're zany and they're running all over. I bet you're having trouble keeping her off the couch or off the walls.
Yeah, off the walls, off the curtains. All right, you're just going to do the same thing that you did with the previous two little shapes. You're just going to slip stitch across that bottom seam. And when you're done, you can snip your yarn. You don't need very much. Fasten off. Make that nice knot, nice tight knot. And then we're going to flip it over and weave that tail back through some of those stitches. And then whatever's left, you can just pull into the body of your little Frankie.
Daniel says, I want another chibi show.
Aww. we hired the chibi band for the evening.
The chibis have been instructed to perform for super chats and new members.
And new members.
So I don't know. I guess I might be able to bribe them with couple of Mars bars or something.
Bars. Yum.
Maybe a candy corn.
Yeah, I should. Oh, these candy corns are almost as tall as they are. Adorable. All right, I'm just weaving it in here.
We have another super chat. All right, girls, you're on. Earn it.
Aww.
Earn it.
Oh my God, they're so cute. Aww.
So we have a super chat from Rob.
Rob, thank you so much.
Rob says, thanks for all your tutorials.
Well, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. And speaking of, there is our little Frankie. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna pull my little plate down. Oh,
I love the double.
I love it.
Double of all three.
We've got our little ghost that we did this evening. And all in one color, no breaking of yarn, so you can make him all in one go, and that's nice. You just add his little eyes, and that's it. Our little it's sort of our first color changing version of the little cone. So you just sort of go white, orange, yellow, or whatever order you want to put your little candy corn colors in. I just love those little colors. So you just simple color changes, no additional markings like eyes or anything, just the color changes, and then you stitch it up. And our most complicated little guy from the evening, so complicated I didn't know where to put his bolts. There's his bolts in his neck or up in here on his head. He looks a little bit more like Shrek. I guess if we did him with green, they'd look more like Shrek.
I like the Shrek idea.
I think that's adorable. So you totally could make him Shrek.
They're so cute.
And there you go. So a couple of eyes, a couple of little ears and or bolts, depending on what kind of character you want to make them. And that's our little Frankie. So there we go. 3 little cute tasty treats. Our tiny tasty treat trio. Once again, these guys are 6 centimeters from top to bottom, just underneath 2.5 inches. And they're as chubby as you want to make them. You can use that sort of stuffing to make them a little tubbier. And we thought these would be kind of a nice little something to hand out tomorrow night for Halloween, in case you've got some little ones that don't take candy, or maybe have a nut allergy, or maybe you don't have very many trick-or-treaters and you just want to do something sweet and special for them.
Super chat.
Oh, yeah, they're really working for it now.
Oh yeah. Come on, girls.
Aw.
They're so cute.
They are so cute.
So we got a super chat from Green Tigress Crafts.
Wow, cool name. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ta-da. So if there are any questions about our little trio of tasty little treats here, please let us know. You can ask them right now. Hopefully we can answer them. Or if you kind of come across this a little later, don't be afraid to leave a comment or a question in the comment section down below, because we do get to them eventually, and hopefully we can answer your question about this little pattern. It's nice. It's sort of designed to be simple, a definite scrap buster. You can use whatever colors you want. As you can see, this definitely lends itself to a couple of different little creatures or characters. And the girls are back.
They're back.
Aww.
I guess they're getting warmed up.
They're dancing their little tushes off.
Adorable.
Aww.
We got a super chat. This super chat is from Mama V.
Mama V.
Mama V says, try Hobby Lobby for the wool needles.
Oh, great share. Thanks, Mama V. Yeah, we don't have a Hobby Lobby up here. We have seen them in, sometimes Walmart has them. Occasionally, but I typically see them online more than I see them anywhere else. So that's great. That's a great tip. Thank you. I hope everybody who hasn't got a pair of these can hopefully get a set. They usually come in sets of 3, and I just love them, especially like with my eyesight not being as great as it used to be. These are a lot easier to thread up. So, do you remember where you got the bat dish? Oh, I think I got this. I got this as a gift. Something tells me it's from the dollar store. So it's a simple little. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a dollar store. I seem to recall dollar store. But he's got like a simple little pair of eyes, and yeah, it's a cute little candy dish. Super cute. I love it. Well, if there aren't any other questions, then I'm not seeing any questions here. I think we've been going for about an hour here, so I hope everybody wants to at least get a good idea of how this pattern works. If you didn't make one along with me right now, then you can always pop back and watch it. And remember, you can pause the video. So once it becomes a video, you can treat it like a regular video. You can pause it, if you have to sort of catch up or whatever. And feel free to ask any questions you might have later in the comment section. We will get to them. Bethany says, I missed a few super chats, but when I go back in our chat here, I don't see them. So, oh dear, I hope the maybe I didn't miss them, and sometimes the video glitches. Pretty sure I got that one. Well, if we did miss any, my goodness, sorry, and thank you so much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Joyce, did we get Karen? Karen said, thank you for all the great tutorials. Happy Halloween. I think we got Karen. I hope we did. Thank you, tell Karen, you what, if I missed grab the girls and make them. Okay, girls, come back. No, you're not done yet. Make them toast everybody. No, you need to do one more. What do you mean you're done? You want how much? I don't know. Just one more. They drive a hard. I'll give you a Mars bar. Okay, they're gonna do one more. One more. Yeah, okay. For the Mars bar. All right, here we go. You ready, girls? They're getting better. They are. Their timing's improving. I think this is a pretty newly formed band that they've got going here. So. I think they just started today. They're doing pretty good. So that is for everyone that I may have missed. We apologize if we did. Yeah. Our chat is very glitchy. We keep sending feedback to YouTube, but we haven't received a reply yet. But we are working on it. Mm-hmm. I think we have another super chat that came through. One more, girls, please. I'm begging. Okay. They said they will. They said they will. Yeah. Oh, good goodness. Aw. So a big thank you to Connie. Connie, thank you so much. Super chat from Connie. Aww. Connie says, you guys are so much fun. Thank you for all that you do for us. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. We hope if you are out tonight or tomorrow or Friday, that it is a safe go, that you aren't too cold or wet, that you bundle up and have a safe time. Make sure you wear reflective stuff and carry a flashlight, especially if it's really, really dark where you are. It's very dark where we are. So make sure you're seen and have a wonderful evening. Oh, we got one more super chat. Last one. All right. I'm going to have to give away all my candy. I promised them extra candy. The Chibis are making a killing this evening. Yeah. They're going to walk out. They drive a hard candy. They're going to walk out with all my candy tonight. So a big thank you for the super chat to Stacy. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to see you Friday for a new video. And like I said, happy Halloween. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, for doing a little crochet along with us. We hope you enjoyed this live tutorial. And we will see you Friday. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Be really safe if you're out and about, and make sure you are seen. So be sure you're seen. Make sure you wear your reflective stuff and carry a flashlight. No Halloween sadness, please. I want to see everybody here on Friday.
Lots of lights, warm clothes if it's cold and windy.
Yeah, especially if you're in a
check all your candy. Check all your kids' candy.
Check all your kids' candy. Double check it.
Eat half of the kids' candy. All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you.
We'll see you Friday. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night.